I am so glad that everyone was with us, Joe and Steve and Kara, some of our loyal viewers, and obviously loyal HEB customers. Do we want to go around and introduce everybody? Mariah is with our creative services team. She's the one who's been handling a lot of stuff behind the scenes. Natalia is our creative services director. Wave to us, Natalia. There she is. You may have already spoken to her. Kristen LaChance is with us as well. She looks like she's in front of like downtown with our KPRC logo. How cool is that?
Representing.
Yes. And then Shannon is with us as well. Another KPRC Channel 2 employee. And then we have Steve, we have Kara, and we have Joe. So thank you all for being here. But the man of the hour, of course, is Armando Perez with HEB, the Executive Vice President of HEB Houston. Armando, we are really, really grateful for your time today.
Yeah, glad to be here with you guys.
Awesome. So tell us, let's kick it off by you just kind of telling us about yourself and your role at HEB.
Yep. So I've been with HEB for the last 26 years, started right out of college, started in the Rio Grande Valley in McAllen, Texas, trained with them right out of their store management trainee program and held various different jobs up until when I came here to Houston about 14 years ago. And now I'm the Executive Vice President for Houston. We manage a few brands in the city. So we have the HEB brand, we have the Joe V's brand, and we have the Mi Tienda brand. And altogether, we run about 100 stores here in the greater Houston area.
So my first question would be, did you grow up in Texas? Did you know about the kind of HEB brand growing up?
Born and raised in Edinburgh, Texas, and coming out of college, it's where I wanted to work. And at that time, Walmart was just coming into the Valley, and I thought it would be exciting to work with the local Texas company that was going to go up against the big national retailer.
I love it. And one thing about television news, if you all didn't know, is typically you start in a smaller market and you kind of work your way up to the larger markets like Houston, for example. When you started there in the Valley, Armando, did you have big goals and big dreams of taking over the Houston operation someday?
You know, no, I never actually even thought about coming to Houston. I grew up in a town of 42,000 people. And I tell people, honestly, I mean, I really don't consider myself an ambitious person, always focused on the job that's in front of me and really didn't have these grand ideas of what I wanted to do from a career perspective. But a funny story. So we came to help with one of the hurricanes when I was running the Valley. And so I was the regional vice president for the border region, which was about 50 stores. It ran from Brownsville to Del Rio. And so during, not during, I think it was for Katrina, we came up to help. Mm-hmm. And when we were driving down 59 to head back to the Valley, there was a group of about eight folks with me. And I said, Lord, let them send me anywhere, but not to Houston, because I had never been to Houston. And the town just, you know, you live in the Rio Grande Valley. It was just this huge city. And I said, let them send me anywhere, but not to Houston. And it wasn't but 4 to 5 months later that Scott came calling to see if I had interest in moving to Houston. And it's been nothing but a blessing to be able to raise our family here.
The Lord works in mysterious ways, my friend.
He absolutely does.
It's, you know, for those of you who are joining in as viewers, I'm kind of the new guy who is being welcomed back because I left this TV station back in 2007 for just another opportunity up in the Dallas area. And, you know, when you leave a community like Houston, my heart was always still here because my wife grew up in Houston. She's a Houstonian. And so we'd come back often for vacations and to see family and things like that. And so kind of like you, Armando, when the opportunity came about, you know, I feel like the Lord opened up big doors for us. And so we ran right through them in the midst of a global pandemic, no less. But here we are, and we feel really, really grateful. Let's turn it over to Joe Maldonado from Tomball. Joe, I think you have a question for Armando.
One of the questions that I've had is, how has HEB managed to stay competitive with larger companies, and now, for example, with Amazon taking over Whole Foods and Walmart expanding their footprint, but we still see HEB staying up there in the charts in different areas? You know, what are some of the strategies HEB has had for that?
I think there's a few, but I'd start with we work really hard to find the best people, and we firmly believe that we can build a store, but the store doesn't become a place that people want to shop until you have the right folks in the store. And one of the things that we do at HEB that you'll notice, right, like we'll literally build the same exact footprint of a store within 2 months of each other, but the stores will end up having their own unique identity. And they end up having their own unique identity because we give the top leaders that run these stores and the department managers that run the departments within the stores a fair degree of autonomy to create their own environment to support their communities, which is a little bit different than the way that most retailers run their business today. Most retailers today run a kind of a command and control type of a setup. They literally tell you where everything's going to go, which is why you go into some retailers and the store feels exactly the same and everything's in exactly the same place. We work to hire really good people and give them autonomy to run their stores the way they see fit to meet the needs of their community. And then we work really hard to know Texas and to do things within Texas better than anybody else can because we understand the customer a little bit better.
Because you mentioned Texas, I want to jump in, and I'm going to get to Steve here in a second. But I was, like all good journalists, you go to Google, right? If you need an answer to something. And so I found this article about HEB on a website called eater.com. I'm sure it's legit. Okay, I'll keep it at that. But what I love is that they talk about the Texas pride, and anyone on this Zoom call understands and I think appreciates that. But it says that HEB is ranked among the top places to work. And they say that the company has tapped into one of the most powerful cultural forces in existence, and it's Texas pride. And I think that really speaks to what you guys are doing, Armando. And I'd like to kind of elaborate on that the whole Texas heritage. I know you started in Kerrville back in 1905, whatever it was. But that's a big deal to be in one state, our state.
Absolutely. And we work hard to know Texas better than, and if you think about anybody that lives in Texas, for most people that live in Texas, you're a Texan before you're even an American, right? It's just, it's how we define ourselves. But right. Even within that, I moved from the Rio Grande Valley to Laredo, which was, 150 miles away, and parts of Texas that are even that close behave differently. And that's what makes Texas so unique. So our ability to understand that while the demographic information would say that the Valley and Laredo are very similar, there's still these nuanced differences that you need to understand to be able to meet the needs of the customer is a really big deal for HEB. And listening to the people that are running the stores so that we can make those adjustments is critical to our continued success.
So I want to bring in Steve now. So Steve is in the North Texas area, but I guess back and forth from Georgia, we learned a second ago. So you don't have HEBs as readily available up in the North Texas area, Steve. So how do you know about the brand, number one? And then number two, I know you have a question about COVID-19.
Just everybody, it's like not a cult, but everybody talks about HEB. And, when I went in the store, it's like, it's just got a different feel to it. So it was just kind of interesting how like a family business going on like 110, 115 years is still strong and is still, out in the forefront. You hear of so many family businesses that after 2 or 3 generations, they just kind of break up for one reason or the other. And it just seems like HEB just keeps getting stronger and stronger.
I agree.
Our family, so the Butt family is still very committed to the business. And one of the things that Charles in particular instills in all of us is just this restless dissatisfaction. We're never satisfied with the status quo, and we're constantly looking to see how we can serve our customers better and how we can be better with our partners as well.
So I have just a quick little anecdote. So I'm not from Texas. However, I am 100% feeling like I'm a Texan now. But when I first moved here from Connecticut, totally different. We went to San Antonio, and my older sister had lived there for some time. And I remember the first time going to the grocery store, and I was like, what's the head? And of course, that was the first thing, like, I'm not from here. And she was just like, you're kidding, right? Like, this is the best grocery store, like, ever. And she's lived all over too. And once I went down the aisles, I found like my salsa, my homemade tortillas. And I was like, dang, this is where it's at. So I totally felt that sense of community and that pride. And not just that, but people within the store that even work there are like their neighbors or each other's people and friends, and so there is that sense of pride. And then my younger sister moved to Dallas, and she comes and visits us and goes to HEB and stocks up on everything, because obviously she's like, I hate that we don't have an HEB. So what are the plans for Dallas? And now I got a question.
Go ahead.
Now that she's talking, Kris, now I got a question.
Trying to go to Dallas. So we've actually have stores that are kind of getting close to Dallas.
Yep.
And at some point in time, obviously, we'll likely look to continue to explore into that market. Selfishly, as the guy that's running Houston, we've advocated for continuing to kind of build out in this market. But at some point in time, I'm sure we'll continue to look at opportunities a little bit further north.
Yeah, so I know there are a few, again, not that you guys are going to be in Dallas, but if you are, Kristen, if you're there visiting family, you got to go out to like Burleson, Mansfield area, down south, Waxahachie as you're coming up 45. You'll find them. If you look for them, you'll find them. They're just not in, Dallas and Fort Worth proper. I do want to get back to Steve, though, because, Steve, you do have an interesting question specifically about COVID-19.
Yeah, I was just kind of curious, Armando, as far as how has or will the COVID-19 crisis, how's that change how HEB does business or will do business going forward?
We've made several different adjustments to the way that we run the business right at the onset. And, from changing what we're doing for the customer, if you think about, we were first to market to have somebody outside sanitizing the carts before you got the shopping carts. We were first to the market to put up shields for our cashiers, right? So if you kind of go to a store now, we've got a shield in front of the cashier. We have a shield behind the cashier. So we've made several of those adjustments. If you go to the deli counter now, you go to the meat counter, we've got several points where we're trying to ensure that we can protect our partners from any potential risk that they can. We've instituted new positions within the store. We've got cleaning crews that are going through the store at all points in time. And then there's some things that we've stopped doing. One of the things that we love doing at HEB is having samples out, offering samples to customers. And you've likely noticed over the last few months, we've discontinued that until we think that it's more appropriate. So lots of changes that we've made. And as we continue to learn, we continue to make adjustments as needed.
Let's add to that, Armando, because talk to me about the balance of knowing that you are an essential business, right? People need their food, they need their groceries, but you also weigh in the factor that you have so many employees, not just across Houston, but across the state. Talk to me about that fine balance of making sure that your employees are safe, but also meeting the needs of people who really, really need you right now more than ever.
Yeah, obviously, I mean, it's particularly as people were going through the initial stage of their fears of the things that they wouldn't have and that kind of thing. But even today, obviously, we provide a service that is necessary, right? I mean, people cannot do without food and cleaning supplies and that kind of thing. But what we've done is we've made several changes to our business. So one of the things right now is we require all of our partners to wear masks. Not everybody is doing that, but we believe that it's in everybody's best interest. And when you look at kind of some of the, we've changed the break rooms. And so we continue to make changes to the way that we're running a store so that we can mitigate as much risk as we possibly can.
Let's turn it over to Kara now, because I love this first question from Kara, because Kara, here's what I envision from Kara. She's walking into HEB, she has her grocery cart, and she wants to see a disco ball come down. I can just feel it.
Oh, yes.
So Kara.
It's so me. So Armando, I love HEB. First of all, I don't even like to grocery shop, but HEB makes the experience so much better. And so especially because of the music you play there. I love the music. It's like you're playing it just for me. All the great hits and 70s, 80s, 90s, and I see people singing, and it's always it's so uplifting. I mean, even during the first part of the whole pandemic and people are scared and all the stuff's going on, there's a calming in there. And so my question is there a strategy behind that music? And do you have like a marketing team or whatever, a team that does only music?
It's back to the interesting thing is it supports what I said earlier. Every store gets to pick what music they want to play in their store with nobody asking them any questions. So think about, they have like this, this Pandora-like stations that they can pick from. There's literally 50 to 60 stations that they can pick from. And whoever's running the store that you're in is obviously doing a good job picking the station that works for you.
Oh my gosh, Champion Forest in 99.
Yep.
I got to talk to who is manager there?
Joe Scala.
Joe Scala. Yep. I will seek him out and tell him thank you.
No, but to your point, it is one of those things that we like doing, right? And it has been difficult for us. Like, we'll have the cooking connection, and we'll have demos going on. We'll have some demos in the wine department, and it has been difficult for us not to offer those services because we do like having a bit of a party atmosphere in the store, and we're all looking forward to the day that we can get back to offering some of those services.
Yes, thank
Something
you.
tells me Carol wants the request line. If you got to talk to Carol, so she can put in a request. I'm coming over. Let's get back to Joe, because Joe, you have a question about innovation.
Yeah, definitely. So again, my background's IT. I love technology. I love what you're doing with your HEB app, and I'm a user of it. I love clipping my coupons there too and everything. But what role does innovation play for HEB in their strategic decisions going forward?
Yeah, I mean, it's critically important, right? In this industry, if you're not continuing to innovate, you're just going to get left behind. I mean, there is no other way to say it. And some innovation comes through technology, and sometimes we say, hey, look, we can't let technology be the only thing that we're looking at by way of how we're going to innovate moving forward. And so, you mentioned the app. We're running a couple of pilots right now where we're moving some of our coupons exclusively to digital, right? Because customers, it's just the way of the world, right? Everybody's shopping with their phones now, and we're trying to figure out how to make the phone a more important tool that you're using while you're shopping in the grocery store. But even outside of innovation and things that we've done with the app, things like curbside pickup and home delivery, and some of the things that we've done around Meal Simple, we're constantly looking to see how we can continue to solve more problems, if you will, for the customer.
I think also adding to that, I have noticed as a television viewer in the promotional spots, the commercials that you guys have right now, when Scott's sitting there and the grandkids are running around, like we get it, right? Because it's our world right now. And I think that you guys continually not just see that, but implement that. So congrats on that too. Steve had a question also about technology. I think we answered that one, Steve, but you want to ask about the employees and what else is so successful?
Yeah, I just was curious, as far as, other than the loyal employees that you have, why has HEB been so successful?
I think one of the things that helps.
Hold on, can we pause, Armando?
Sure.
We have someone who just joined the conversation.
Hey!
Steve and Kara and Joe. Jerry is the general manager of our TV station, so that's why we make such a big deal when he joined the conversation. But I'm sorry, Armando, you were going to answer the question about the loyal employees and what else you feel makes HEB so successful.
Yeah, so I really do think that our secret sauce comes from our partners. And one of the things that we do, back to Kara, we're talking about Joe Scala, is that we hire people that, when we think about the things that are important to be a successful leader at HEB, one of them is that you have to be good with people, and that's customers and that's partners, the people that work for us. And in order for us to continue to create that environment in the store, it's important that we hire people that can identify talent and then create an environment where people enjoy working, because that's how we make it all come together within a store.
Kara, you had a question about the layout of the stores, and Armando kind of hit on this, but you may be able to add more.
Yeah, so I love that you call, Armando, that you call your employees your partners. Mm-hmm. That's awesome. It may be the same answer that you gave, but I noticed like some of the stores our store at Champions in 99 has some vertical and then some horizontal rows in the design. And I gone to, that my first time seeing that, because it's so different from going up and down, you know, everybody's so used to that for so long in their life. And so my first time experiencing that was in San Antonio, actually. So then when they built this beautiful one out here, it was, you know, that same design. And there were some that were kind of thrown for a loop at first. And so everybody's gotten used to it, but I wasn't sure, was there what was the thought behind that?
What we were trying to achieve in Champions was, if you think about most stores that you're talking about, you have all of the fresh items on one side. So you'll typically come into produce, and then you have bakery and deli, and then meat market, and then it's all dry, right? So there's a lot of animation going on the entrance, and then it kind of goes to all of your cans and your bottles and your packages. And what we wanted to do at Champions is, if you think about it, is that you come in now and you have produce, seafood, and market, but then we took bakery and deli to the other side. And what we're trying to do is to create a different experience by taking the fresh shop around the total perimeter of the store, which is why we had to change the direction of the aisles in the center of the store. But that's what we were trying to achieve. Plus, you know, we just like playing with things.
Sure, a little different.
And again, we're always restlessly dissatisfied. So we wanted to see how the customers would respond to it. I think we've got 3 stores that are set up that way in Houston. We've got one down in Fulshire, one in San Felipe, and then your store on Champions.
You know, I think personally that after oil, Texas pride may be our single biggest resource in our state, in part because I think it takes on so many forms. And I think personally, HEB has connected with that and pulls from that. Everything from the Texas shaped tortilla chips to whatever, you name it, you've got it, right? I've heard of people who go Christmas shopping at HEB for the Texas sized knickknacks and everything that you want, something shaped like Texas, you go to HEB. I also know, Armando, that you guys work with supporting our farmers and local is important to you. Talk to us about the importance of that for the brand.
Yeah, so one of the things back to us knowing Texas is that we have an entire group of buyers for each one of the departments, right? So you think about it, we've got somebody that buys nothing but beef for HEB, somebody that buys nothing but pork. And you think about on the produce side, we've got somebody that buys fruits and vegetables within, you know, this person may buy strawberries, this person buys corn, this person buys. So we've got a multitude of buyers. And one of the things that we look to do as a first avenue is always we try to buy locally, right? We try to buy from Texas whenever possible. And we like talking about the fact that we're doing that because it supports our economy. We actually started a few years back a program called the Quest for Texas Best. And what that program does is anybody that is producing an item in Texas, it has to be made in Texas. If it's not currently on our shelves, you enter this Shark Tank-like program or contest, and whoever wins the contest not only gets on the shelves at HEB for sure, but we provide them some seed money to help them get their business scaled up so that they can produce for HEB. And it's been a huge win for us.
Really? So how long has that been going on? And can you name a product off the top of your head that won that you see that has become popular?
Yep. I think this was going to be our 5th year of running it. The winner last year was a salsa. I think it was called the Diablo salsa out of Katy, Texas.
And they were young, right? Weren't they like kids?
They were, you know, in their early teens.
Yeah.
And helped their mom to create this salsa. And you know, she met with one of the store leaders. I think it was Gilbert Ortiz, who at that time was running the store in Grand Parkway, and the contest was coming up. He said, hey, you know, you need to make sure that you enter this contest. And really what we do is we have a panel of restaurant folks, and then we've got a panel from HEB, and literally they come in, they pitch their story, they pitch their products, and we decide which ones are going to go on the shelf. But yeah, it's hugely popular. There's a couple there. The Huertas have it's kind of a take on a gumbo that's worked out really well for us. It's still on our shelves, and yeah, I can go through several different examples of product that's on the shelf now. There's a Savannah sweet tea that came on maybe 3 years ago. So yeah, we've got several folks that have come through the program.
Armando, did you see that Facebook post? There's a Facebook post with three guys like cheering at a sporting event, and their faces were great looking faces or whatever, and it said the face that Texans make when they see an HEB next to a Whataburger next to a Buc-ee's.
I did see that.
Yeah,
I did see that. The trifecta.
the trifecta right there.
Yeah, I did see that. That was great.
Yep.
It is funny because there are some things that are quintessential Texas, right? And you do think of, the Whataburgers and the Buc-ee's, but HEB is that staple for so many of us, and we're grateful. Let's talk back over to Joe, because Joe has a question because he wants to make sure we maintain this growth through the years, right, Joe?
Yeah, definitely. I'm curious to know, how do you, Armando, see the grocery business growing and expanding in the next 10 years?
Yeah, obviously, so it's grocery is going to continue to grow as long as the populations grow, right? So people need to eat. It's one of those businesses. It isn't cyclical in that as long as there's growth of population, the need for groceries is going to continue to exist. I think when you think about the next 10 years, the growth that we've seen in people that are wanting to either pick up their groceries or have their groceries shipped to home will obviously continue to accelerate. And I think the two other things that will likely happen in the next 10 years will be convenience will continue to be key. Nobody has time, and everybody's looking for the maximum amount of convenience that we can possibly offer. And then a third one, I think, is just going to be this desire for customization, right? More and more people are wanting what they want exactly the way that they want it, and we're having to make those adjustments to make sure that we can figure out how to hit everybody exactly in the way that they're looking to be hit.
I also know that you are very involved here locally. You have adopted Houston as your second home. You may be a Valley guy, but you're a Houstonian now, right? Talk to us about the boards that you sit on and why giving back and things like that are so important to you personally.
Yeah, I'm chairman of the board for the United Way of Greater Houston. And obviously, look, it's one of the most important organizations in the city because the work that we do is to ensure that many of the nonprofits in the city can hit as many people as they possibly can so that we can help as many Houstonians as we possibly can. And the need for the United Way, in my opinion, has never been greater, right? And we're really working hard to ensure that we can help people live a better life. And by living better lives, the way that we're looking to define it is to say, how do we continue to raise the median household income in Houston? I also serve on the advisory committee for the Kinder Institute at Rice, and they're doing a bunch of great work around really taking what they're learning through their research and putting it into action. And proud to be associated with both.
Absolutely. One thing that people always talk about is, when food that's on your shelves or things may be getting closer to those expiration dates. What do you do with that? I know there are a lot of organizations that I'm sure you guys give and donate to. And can you take me behind the scenes maybe a little bit of what you're seeing with that need right now because of COVID-19?
It's a good point. One of the things that we do, particularly the Houston Food Bank is somebody that we do a tremendous amount of work with. We're the biggest supporter of food banks in the state of Texas. And one of the things that we started, it was likely maybe 5-6 years ago, was a protein recovery program through the Houston Food Bank. And now it's extended to food banks beyond Houston. But in essence, to your question, is if we have fresh quality meat that no longer has that is going to expire from our expiration dates. And if you think about our expiration dates on something like fresh meat, if it says expires by, say, today's date of the 17th, it doesn't mean that it is no longer good. It means that we're going to give you enough time to get it home and then consume it, if that makes sense.
Right.
So what we do with this protein, because what the food bank needed was they needed protein. They had plenty of dry groceries, right? So boxes, cans, bars, that kind of thing. But what they needed was protein. And the food bank at that point in time had expanded their ability to store frozen products. So what we do now is we'll take these products and we'll freeze them in store. The food bank sends their agencies directly to the store to pick them up. Now all of that protein makes its way back to the agencies that the food bank works with so that it can help end hunger in Houston.
I'm writing this down because I just uncovered a news story.
Yeah.
That's why
It's an
I'm
excellent program.
writing this down, because I think that our viewers need to know those things, because there are so many big businesses behind the scenes that are doing so many things right now that our viewers don't have a clue about. And so, I mean, again, thank you for shining a light on that. All right, Joe, Steve, Kara, anything else? I know you probably have a question that you didn't write down.
I guess I've got one. So, Armando, if you're looking out 5 years from now, would we recognize how's an HEB store going to be different 5 years from now than what it is now? Because I know as an executive, you're probably thinking strategically 5-10 years out. What would it look like if I walk into a store 5 years from now?
My hope would be that the sense of the store that we've talked about for the last 30 minutes will still be there, right? That special feeling, the people appreciating the fact that I've made a cognizant decision to come to HEB as opposed to coming somewhere else, which is always going to be our goal, will be the same. What we're selling and how we're selling it might be slightly different. And I think within the next 5 years, what will continue to be a priority for customers is going to be convenience and all of the different things that would flow under convenience. Because the commodity that everybody's looking for is time.
That's the one thing that truth be told, my wife does all the shopping in our house, and I'm grateful for that. My mom, who's 75 years old, she is all about this ordering online. If I were to go to the store, I like to feel my avocados. I like to see what color the bananas are, things like that. But you must see a huge increase in the number of people who are really gravitating toward this idea of your employees are actually doing the shopping for the customer.
Right. Yeah. So it's we have our curbside program, plus we have our home delivery program, and we have seen growth into both of the programs. And the way we think about it is, look, we'd love to have you in the store, but if you can't come on this occasion and you need to have us get it ready for you, we're going to have the folks that can do it better than anybody else. We're working really hard to ensure that our personal shoppers understand what the customer is looking for. To what you said earlier, Joe, we've made a lot of iterations to our app so that the customers can give us better information about what they want. You mentioned bananas, Kris. If you think about it, the more that they can tell us about exactly the color they're looking for in their bananas, because everybody wants their bananas different, the better we can get at serving their needs. But yeah, I think that part of the business will continue to grow, and we're going to continue to ensure that our program is best in class.
Have you guys seen, since this COVID-19, since this global pandemic, have you guys run numbers in terms of how many customers have moved over toward that in that digital realm?
Yeah, so the growth has been fairly significant. The issue is that it's not I'm no longer coming into the store and I'm doing this only. It happens that way for some people, but many people I can't come this time. I choose not to come this time, but I may be back later this week. So and we're going to work really hard to make sure that the way I think about it is that I think those folks that are running stores where people feel that they have to go are going to be in trouble in the future. And we're going to continue to try to create the environment that Kara likes so that she can want to come to the store. Because I believe that if people continue to want to come in the store, we can continue to move forward with both.
Armando, could you dispel a rumor that I started with myself?
What is that?
So I use, people, I don't go to the store anymore. So I just order it and I get all these replacement items. And when I go to the store, they're all those not the replacement items, but the original items are always there. Are you telling the shoppers to see if you can swap some things that aren't selling well?
No, it is the biggest frustration point that people have that use the service. And I would say that as our supply chains have been disrupted, right? So, if you think about just everybody's supply chain, I think everybody has struggled to have everything that everybody was looking for. But the metric that we work on the hardest, Jerry, is actually trying to ensure that people get what they ordered, because it's the biggest frustration point for anybody that uses the service.
Okay.
It makes sense.
Get better at it.
Peel the curtain back, if you would, please. When you see a lead news story is, there's a run on toilet paper and there's a run on ground beef and all these things. Are you frustrated? Do you see it firsthand? Like, what are you guys doing behind the scenes to try and help, facilitate that issue?
Well, there was a real run on toilet paper. I mean, it was a legitimate run on toilet paper. And then, we had the issues with some fresh beef production. But look, I mean, I think we really don't get frustrated by it. We look to anticipate the needs of the customer. And our job, to what Jerry was alluding to, whether you come to the store or you're ordering online, is to have everything that you're looking for. And so, whether it became a news story or it didn't become a news story, if we didn't have it, we've got a bunch of folks here, a bunch of folks in San Antonio that are working to make sure that we can get it as fast as we possibly can.
Kara, I know you have one more question in you.
You saw it in my face.
I saw it.
Will there ever, and I don't know if this is a law in California, there's, if you want any bags, your food bagged up, any sort of, carrying, whether it's paper or plastic, there's a slight charge for it.
A nickel or something.
And yes. And so, and I'm not sure if that's state law or not, but do you anticipate that ever coming to fruition here at your stores? I mean, just from an environmental standpoint, I like it because
different cities have done it in the state. Austin has done it.
Austin was the leading one, right?
I think Brownsville did it. I think Brownsville might have come back off of it. But it's hard to say. Probably not coming as soon as it would come in Austin in an oil city. But you never know.
Hey, Armando, I have a question for you. I know you guys are getting ready to open up a store just down the road from me, over off of the 1093.
1093? Yeah.
Yeah. So how many stores do you guys plan to open this year? And has COVID put you guys back at all, or where are you on that?
Yeah, so this store probably was going to open, let me do the math real quick, was likely going to open about 2 months ago. So it delayed this store. And just from the ability of having people do everything that needs to be done, plus some of the municipalities around licensing and that kind of thing has slowed down the construction process. So we're still in a bit of a limbo as to how many stores we're going to get this year, but it'll likely be a lighter year from how many stores we were able to open up this year for sure.
Joe, Steve, Kara, do you feel like this has been helpful?
Very.
Very helpful.
I have one more question.
Yeah, you bet.
Go ahead, Joe.
So I think, in fact, when you mentioned toilet paper, it reminded me of the nightmare of inventory. All right, there was things that even people started innovating, like I think instock.org, right, and so forth. What is HEB doing to try to make that inventory readily available to the consumer so that they know if they're looking for this one item, whether within a pandemic or not, but know that which store might have it so that they can use their time more efficiently?
Yeah, I don't know that we have that problem solved just yet, Joe. I think over time, the way that we would look to solve it would be the way that some retailers have solved it via their app, so that you can go to an item and it'll give you the indicator that says, hey, not available in this store, but has inventory and which the store has next. But we're not quite there yet. But that's the way we would look to solve that one.
Anything else, y'all?
Questions?
No, very informative. Thank you so much.
I agree.
Thank you, guys.
Yeah.
Appreciate
Armando,
it.
thank you very much.
I really do.
Great questions, Steve and Joe. Thank you all. And thank you so much, Armando, for your time.
You bet,
Thanks,
Natalia.
Armando.
Chris, welcome to Houston, Chris. Good to have
Glad
you.
to be back, Armando. I look forward to meeting you soon.
We'll do it. Jerry, good seeing you.
Good seeing you, Armando. Take care.
Bye.
Thank you.
Thanks, everyone.